Are you ready to go full-time as a wedding photographer? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another webinar episode. What is a webinar, if not an episode? What does webinar even mean anymore? I have no idea.
There's got to be some like Latin meaning. It's a seminar.
It's a seminar? A seminar on the web? Is that what it is, or did you just make it up? No, you just made that up. 200 IQ. That's probably what it is. Well, welcome everybody. We are here for another great video, and we are going to be talking about if you're ready to go full-time as a wedding photographer. So, right now, I think personally, I believe it's a great time to consider going full-time as a wedding photographer. Maybe you're on the fence, maybe you're freaking out, maybe you think the economy's in the tank and there's no opportunity to go full-time as a wedding photographer. So today, we're going to talk through some things I think that are important if you're considering going full-time as a wedding photographer, or maybe you're not even considering going full-time, you're just thinking about jumping into weddings, period, because you're a portrait photographer or just doing some part-time photography. So I definitely have some opinions on the subject as somebody who has been a wedding photographer for quite a number of years. So just a little overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what is the opportunity. I always think it's important as a business owner. I know you guys are photographers, you're creatives, and you might be thinking to yourselves, I love photography, but there has to be an opportunity, right? We definitely love photography, but there has to be an opportunity there. But you know what? Can we slow down for just 1 second? I didn't even say, I'm so into this right now, I didn't even say, how's everybody doing? How are we doing today, everybody?
Did you even introduce yourself?
I didn't even introduce myself. It was just, I just jumped right into it. I was super excited. I think I had a little bit too much sugar for lunch, so I'm a little amped up right now. Like that little sound effect.
Or desk that needs to be tightened.
Can you hear it? It's a thing. It's a built-in sound effect. But how you guys doing? Everybody doing good? A little crazy? Economy, the world, the job market, the news, everything is crazy. So hopefully you guys are having a good time. You're in your photography, you're doing well. But my name is Sal Sincata. For those of you who don't know me, I am a wedding and portrait photographer based in O'Fallon, Illinois. And I have been, as crazy as this is to say out loud, a wedding and portrait photographer full-time. We are approaching 15 years right now. So that is a little crazy to think about. I got more gray hair.
Is that true?
About my gray hair?
Well,
No, the gray hair is true.
Yeah.
I have it. More of it. If you look at pictures of me from 2008, the eyebrows are getting grayer. Yeah, it's not good. I could do just for men.
Do you remember when you used to be able to like pluck the few gray hairs?
Yeah, that's how it starts, I think, for all people that are getting into their 50s. I'm 52 right now. It starts out, you got a couple of gray hair, you pluck them, it's fine, they disappear, and then they come back like by the 20s. And now there's so many gray hair that I'd just have to be like one of those, what are those skin cats? Those nasty looking cats. I'm sorry, if you have one of those cats, I apologize, the hairless cats, but they kind of give me the heebie-jeebies. We need to focus on this webinar / seminar about becoming a full-time wedding photographer. Whatever.
Webinar is a seminar, but on the web.
Listen, let's get going. We're going to talk about the opportunity, how you should price your work, what the mandatory gear is that you need, right? We all need toys and gears. All the gears. Things you need to know before you jump in, and let's talk about some of the mistakes that I've made and how to avoid them. And of course, how to find jobs. So if you're just getting into wedding photography, or if you've been doing it quite a while, but you want to find more gigs, you got some capacity, I have very excited to talk to you about an opportunity for you to find more of these billable jobs in weddings where you're second shooting for somebody, or maybe you want to be a primary, but we're going to talk about all that. So why trust me? What do I know? Just a guy with a bunch of gray hair and talking about hairless cats. Why trust me? Well, I'm a business school graduate. I went to Binghamton University. It's important to know. So I didn't go to art school, film school. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would end up a professional photographer. I thought I was going to be a corporate attorney. That's where I thought I was going to be. How boring would that job be right now? Yeah, no thank you. But anyway, graduated, and immediately, this is back in 96, 97, the internet blew up. I was recruited out of college by Procter & Gamble, and then went on to work at Microsoft for over 10 years. So, you know, I served in the corporate world, so I understand business, I understand finance, and that's kind of what I bring to the table when it comes to photography. And of course, I like to think I'm a good photographer, right? So I want to master my craft, but I think we all have to have a little bit of those business skills, you know, deep down if you're going to run a successful business. Ultimately, I left to chase my dream back in 07, 08 to be a full-time photographer. Everyone in the world thought I was nuts, mostly because if you remember, the economy in 08 was not good. But I understand the risk. I understand where you are at mentally and financially because I was there, right? I didn't have a family business I was jumping into. I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have a whole lot of money. I almost went bankrupt multiple times along this journey. And I don't say that as something to be proud of. I just say it so that you understand I know where you're coming from if going to become a full-time photographer or if you're in this transitional period is something that scares the crap out of you. I'm just letting you know, been there, done that. So hopefully I can help you avoid some of those mistakes. But right now I'm broadcasting to you live from our home base. This is our studio, we own it. So that should at least inspire you, if nothing else, that there is incredible opportunity for you as a professional photographer. You can be successful. You can make money as an artist. That this idea of being a starving artist, not signing up for it, not interested in it. But we're broadcasting you live right in the bottom right-hand screen that you're looking at on my monitor right now. We own the building. It's a 12,000 square foot historical building, and that we run our companies out of today. So it's super cool. We have chat, right?
Yes, we do.
All right. So as we're going along, my team is in the chat. If you do have some questions, throw them in there about anything. You know, you want to talk about feelings today? I'm in that kind of mood. We could talk about our feelings, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what's tripping you up in life, whatever you feel like. But just know there's opportunity for you. So let's get serious for a second. Are weddings dead? You know, I think there was a time in 2019, right when COVID hit, that I would have been like, weddings are done for the foreseeable future. It sure felt that way. So if you've been a wedding photographer for any period of time, man, right? COVID hit, everything got locked down, and it just went off a cliff because you couldn't have large venues, you couldn't have large gatherings, host of issues, right? And at the end of the day, as a business owner, it doesn't matter what your political view is of everything going on. It is what it was at the time, which is there were no weddings or large gatherings happening. I mean, it went off a cliff, and I'm going to show you some stats to drive that point home. But as we're into 22 and forecasting into 23, weddings are exploding. So again, I would assume many of you who are doing weddings would, at least in the chat, agree that you're seeing an uptick in business. If you're not, there's something else wrong, because everybody's coming back online. Everybody wants their weddings, and they're bigger. It's not like they're small. For a while we were seeing smaller weddings and venues. That's not the case anymore. So there was a lot of pent-up demand. And the real question is, are you ready to take advantage of it? So many of you, whether you're a studio owner, you're probably getting more wedding inquiries than you may be able to service. That's a problem, right? You're saying no to money. But if you're just getting into weddings because you're seeing the opportunity, you don't even know where to begin to start booking more weddings. Well, today we're going to talk about that. But I would say weddings are not dead. So here's some stats. These stats are a combination of from Wedding Wire, The Knot, and a couple other sources that I use to get stats. These aren't some made up stats. 2019, 2.1 million weddings in the United States. So these are US numbers. So if you're watching internationally, just know that these are US based numbers. But I would imagine percentage wise, it's probably somewhat comparable, and you could find these stats in your local regions. But in 2019, 2.1 million weddings, right? And then bam, COVID hits. 2020, weddings dropped 57% to 1.2 million weddings. When that happened, I'm telling you guys, we were in a situation where we're like, is our wedding business over, right? And everybody started pivoting, started doing families, but some people were doing porch shoots.
Don't
You
take it
remember
over
that?
It was innovative.
You like it?
I didn't like it, but people were at least doing something.
Yeah, they were doing something. It was just weird, right? Like, I'm going to take your picture from over here.
Stuck at home and
I know, but it was like I was over here. It's like, get your head closer together. I've got a 500 millimeter on. It was just weird. It was a weird time.
It was a weird time.
But people were pivoting, right? And a bunch of us, I know for us, we jumped into boudoir. We jumped into what we started calling legacy portraits. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Why? Because we had to make money. We had to do what we had to do to survive. And if anything, you probably learned a bunch about yourself and what you're capable of, during that period. So, but 21, rebound. So in 2021, all those weddings that got postponed in 20 jumped back online. They rescheduled, right? 1.9 million weddings. Now remember, in 2019, there was 2.1 million. So in 21, you think, okay, it's rebounded, but it's still not quite at that level. But you have to realize something that happened in 21 or in 20, a shit ton of studios closed their doors. They just said, you know what? I'm done packing it up, moving to Florida. I'm not doing weddings anymore. So now you had all these weddings coming back online, but there wasn't enough capacity. There wasn't enough photographers there to handle that. So smart photographers started raising their prices, and we're going to talk about that, which we did. We were shocked at the results. 2022, from all that pent-up demand now, weddings have now surged past 2019 numbers. 2.4 million weddings this year. So what does 23 look like? My guess is at a certain point, that 2.1 million number from 2019, that's a historical, like if you look back over the last 15 years, that number goes 2.1 million, 2 million, 2.1, 2 million, 2.8, it's very, never 2.8, sorry. 1.9 to 2.2 is usually that fluctuation, which is not a big fluctuation when you map that out across the entire United States. So I think by 23, we're going to level back off at about 2.1 million, and that's fine. But there's a lot of work out there, and the question is, are you ready to handle that work, right? And so if you're on the bubble and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I want to do photography full time. To me, weddings are the perfect genre to go after. Now, we could talk all the pros and cons. I've met with tons of photographers over the years who say to themselves, I hate weddings. I hate the bridezillas. I hate. Yes, to everything you're saying. However, every other part of your business is somewhat seasonal, right? Boudoir, families, seniors, school and sports, somewhat seasonal. Not that weddings are not seasonal, but here's the difference. Weddings are contract-based. This is why I like them. So as you sit here right now, what are we in? We're going into September. You sit here in September, do you have any idea how much you're going to make in 2023? This is the finance guy in me. Do you have any idea how much you're going to make in 23? You have no idea. Why? Because you have no contracts. You might forecast that you're going to do 100 high school seniors, but we all know you don't know until you know, right? That should be a t-shirt. You don't know until you know. Can we get that t-shirt made?
I feel like that already.
You feel like somebody said it already? Maybe they did.
And then you're gonna get sued.
But we'll do like me saying it with finger guns.
Yeah.
You don't know until you know. Yeah, I like it. We're gonna go with that. All right, look for the t-shirts on our swag store. Okay, so you want to be able to forecast your business and look at it and go, okay, I know that by next year I have 10 weddings booked. My average contract is $3,000. I know that's going to generate at least 30 grand. That's how you start building a business. That's why I'm so optimistic always about weddings, because it serves as a baseline. Now you can go after high school seniors and boudoir and beauty and whatever, fashion, whatever else you're going to go after. But weddings are a great way to kind of anchor your business and have predictable revenue. So do with that what you want, but that's my opinion. Questions? Anything coming in? They're just no question. I'm rapid firing, man. They're too busy thinking about the swag store. They're like, I got to get that t-shirt. You don't know till you know. All right.
It's actually really bad.
You think it's bad?
Yeah.
It's my wife saying it's bad. I appreciate that. We're gonna edit that part out. we're gonna put in a deep man's voice off camera to be you.
Saying, Sal,
I-
that's a great idea.
Sal, that's a great idea.
You have the best ideas.
As usual, great idea. All right, anyway, pricing. So again, this is just level setting what's going on in the industry. Average photographer in the United States is between $2,000 and $2,500, wedding photographer. My opinion, way too cheap for what we do. Now granted, some of that's tied to your skill level, your experience, the type of work you produce, I get it, but it's much harder to compete, believe it or not, if you're competing in that $2,500 range than if you're competing at $10,000. I know it sounds crazy and counterintuitive, but here's something you have to think about, right? Our average wedding is over 10 grand. It's not a bullshit number, it's a real number. You talk to any photographer in the St. Louis metro area, they know what our prices are. They go to bridal shows, they see us at bridal shows, they see our pricing sheet. That's a real number. And you might think to yourself like, that's a lot of money. I agree, it is a lot of money. I think I'm good at what I do and I want to be paid accordingly. I'm never going to apologize for wanting to be compensated for the work I'm doing. I'm taking all the risk. I've got to have insurance. I've got to pay employees. All goes on and on. So keep that in the back of your mind. Maybe you don't want to jump to 10K, but maybe you jump to 3K this year. By the way, when it comes to pricing, inflation is through the roof. Every place you go, they're charging more money for everything. I went to a place yesterday where, by the way, it's in St. Louis. It's called the Foundry, City Foundry. If you've never been there, you need to go there. This is not a sponsored message, by the way. And the sandwich place I love is called, is it the Cutting Board?
Cutlery or something.
It's like the Cutting Board or the Cutlery or something like that. It's a knife logo. They Carving Board?
Yeah.
I feel like we're just making shit up now. Alicia's looking it up. I see her feverishly typing. We will get the name of this place.
I will find it.
Their chicken sandwich, it's a spicy chicken sandwich made from scratch, right? They're hammering out the chicken, doing whatever chicken stuff they got to do, breading it, frying it, putting the spicy stuff on it. It is the best spicy chicken sandwich I've ever had in my life. In fact, there's like, the Foundry is like all these restaurants, like food trucks, but not food trucks, underneath, in a building, an old kind of iron mill. And there's all these restaurants. I've never been to any of the other restaurants because I can't stop eating this chicken sandwich. I don't know if you've ever had that kind of problem, but that I do have that problem. And I go there yesterday and we get the same chicken sandwich, same price, it's half the size. This is what's going on. So instead of them raising their prices to deal with inflation, increase labor, increase chicken, the sandwich went from being, I'm not kidding you guys, this big, right, cut in half, to now it's just one half of the sandwich. So,
And it's skinnier too.
so this is what we're dealing with. Everybody's dealing with it. It's not just you as a consumer, but it is also you as a business owner. It's more expensive to operate your business. It's time to raise your prices. If you've needed anyone to hammer you over the head to tell you, here I am, Sal Sincata, raise your frickin' prices. It's time to. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're not gonna be any busier or less busier by charging less money. That's just not how this works. So keep that in mind. Did you find the chicken place?
You weren't even close.
I wasn't close.
It was called Subdivision.
It was called, but is the logo a knife? Okay, so I at least got one facet of this right. Not even close. It's called Subdivision, and there's a knife in the logo. Yeah, yeah.
I think they do have a restaurant called that.
I think so.
They may have a restaurant somewhere called the Carving Board, but it wasn't this place. All right, anyway, check it out if you can. I think you'll love it.
Use code Sal.
Yeah, use code SAL25 at checkout. I'm just kidding. All right, so there's clearly money to be made in photography, right? Just based on the numbers I'm showing you, based on the building I showed you in the beginning, and you got to trust me on this. There's money to be made, but you also have to be at that skill level. You don't just go out and charge more money. You have to offer the right products, the right, services, all that kind of stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But you have to understand that price and quality are somewhat interconnected, right? Don't try to convince yourself that they're not. And what do I mean by price and quality? I'm not talking about quality in product, which is important, type of wedding albums you use, that kind of stuff. I'm talking about quality in the perception of a bride-to-be If you're a $500 photographer, the assumption is you suck ass. Can I say that? I feel like that's safe. I wanted to say something else, but I didn't. So I feel like I'm being safe. You suck ass. That's what they think. If you're charging 10 grand, you must be amazing. It's what they think. Doesn't mean it's true. I'm not sitting here telling you it's true. I'm just telling you perception becomes reality. So you have to start thinking about that when you're putting your pricing together, that these things matter, right? So price and quality are absolutely interconnected in the mind of a consumer. Just think about yourself. If you go look at furniture and it's $5,000 for a couch from Restoration Hardware, which is cheap, that would be on their sale rack because it's normally like $15,000 for a couch. The assumption is it's built better than the couch you're getting from Weekends Only for $399. That would be a safe assumption. Turns out it's accurate. I mean, the quality of a couch from Restoration Hardware is nowhere near the quality of a couch from like a Weekends Only or Ashley. It's just not the same. I don't care what you say. The quality's different. But you're assuming it's different right out of the gate. Same for cars, same for clothing. Doesn't mean it's true. But I'm trying to drive this point home for you because you need to value your craft and what you do, and where you're pricing yourself could hurt you. Questions on that? Any questions whatsoever?
Nope.
All right.
They just came here to learn.
Came here to learn, watching Sal over lunch hour. So gear is always a fun thing to talk about, right? So let's say you want to get going in wedding photography. You want to open up, hang your own shingle out there. You want to work for someone else. I think there's some gear that is just must have. Of course, as photographers, we want all the toys. We need everything. But what do we actually need to perform a job? So this is my opinion. If you don't agree with it, feel free to disagree. That's okay. But here's the gear I would recommend that you're going to have in your bag for weddings, right, specifically. So,
It's a tight crop, so it should
where I got to be like this with it?
be. No, just
How much room I got? I got this much room? Can I be here?
You can be there.
Can I be here?
It's getting cut off.
It's getting cut off?
Go to this side.
Go to-
We're gonna go to inside.
Can I be here?
Yeah.
Look at
That's
that.
perfect.
I'm Vanna White.
That was a great.
Was that a great segue
Yeah.
into gear? All right. So my at this point, if any of you are on the fence with mirrorless technology, I would highly encourage you to jump. It's time to go. Let go of the DSLR. It's time to let go. Jump on board with mirrorless. Whatever your manufacturer is. Nikon has mirrorless, Sony has mirrorless, Fuji has mirrorless, Canon has mirrorless. Make the jump over to mirrorless. You're not just making the jump for the sake of making the jump. It's all the tech that's in the camera is very, very useful to you as a photographer. They've got eye tracking now. Buttons are fully programmable. I don't want to get into all that, but they've made some incredible improvements. It's time to move over to mirrorless. So I would highly recommend you get a mirrorless camera. Get a pro level body. So I don't know all the cameras from Sony or Nikon. But from a Canon perspective, R5 is what I'm using. They've got a higher end camera, the R3. That's great for sports photographers. I don't think as a wedding photographer, that's what you need. So I'm on R5. Our whole studio's on R5. That's what we use to shoot all our weddings. Plenty of megapixels. It's fine. So DSLR, I get the battery grip extender on almost every camera I have. The reason is because I don't like shooting like this. Worse, I see people doing this. What are you doing? It's so uncomfortable. Stop. I can maybe deal with this, but if you get the battery grip extender, it's all here, right? So all your buttons are up here, and you're firing it this way. It's much more comfortable, man. I mean, you're gonna work an 8-10 hour day. You wanna be comfortable. All right. You had a question, Alicia.
Yeah, somebody asked, Brandon said, what's a solid number of weddings to anchor your business?
That's a great question. So what's a solid number of weddings to anchor your business contractually? When I went to quit my job, I was working full time. The number I set was 15 weddings. And I said, if I can get 15 weddings on the books at this much money, I know that I'm going to have engagement sales tied to it. I can have post-wedding sales. I can have album upgrades. But contractually speaking, if I could get 15 weddings contracted, that's when I'm going to quit my job. And I did. And so I got to 15 weddings, quit my job, And then I started focusing on senior portraits, family portraits, all the things you don't have time to do when you have a full-time job. So for me, I still feel that number to be true. 15 weddings is a good place to be. So great question. Anything else? Yep. All right. So then we get down to the holy trinity of lenses. Maybe you've heard that term, maybe you haven't, but it's not tied to a camera manufacturer. It's really tied to focal length. And so when you're photographing a wedding, you've got to be able to operate from super wide in tight quarters, like maybe you're in a church, maybe you're doing family pictures, and they've got 100 people in the family. You can't be showing up there with your 100, 500 zoom lens, and you got to go back to like across the street. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't work that way. So you need variety in your focal length. So there's 3 lenses that almost every camera manufacturer has that will give you that, and that's your holy trinity, right? So first up for me at the wide end is the Canon 1535. Something else to keep in mind, do not buy a lens that is slow. So what does that mean? Your f-stop is your speed. That's how much light it's going to let into the camera. So you want as fast a lens as you can possibly get. If you are going to be a wedding photographer, the slowest lens you should have in your arsenal is 2.8. You cannot operate in low-lit churches, receptions with an f4 lens. It's just very difficult, guys. I'm telling you, you're losing a stop of light at a minimum, and some of them are variable, right? So that means when you get a lens that's f4 to f5.6, that means when you zoom in, the lens drops to 5.6. Now you're losing 2 stops of light, right? From 2.8 to 4.0 to 5.6 is 2 stops of light that you're going to lose. Now where are you getting those 2 stops of light from? ISO. And the minute you start adding ISO, you're adding noise to your image. And it's even worse if you don't have a pro level DSLR or mirrorless. So even if you're on DSLR, like, an older Canon, an older Nikon or whatever, they handle noise well compared to, because they're full frame sensors, compared to some of the other cameras where you get anything over like ISO 800, right, and it starts falling apart. You don't want that to happen, so get fast glass. Now, this is f2.8, 1535. Some of the prime lenses I have, which I don't think you need right now, like a 50 millimeter or an 80 millimeter or 85 millimeter, are f1.2. That's what I would have in my bag. And I do have that in my bag, but you don't need it right now. So I'm just telling you what I think you need to have a full kit to get going. So that's 1535. Then you're going to have a 2870 on the RF. So this is Canon RF glass. But if you're using a DSLR, most of the companies have a 2470, right? Same thing. So you've got 1535, 2470. That's kind of your mid lens, right? So 1535 is wide, 2870 is mid, and then you're going to want your 7200 that you would have, right? And this is, all of them are f2.8. These are beast lenses for me. These are my go-to. 95% of what I'm doing, I'm shooting with these 3 lenses because they cover that whole focal length range from 15 millimeter all the way up to 200 millimeters. So hopefully that makes sense. So I think you need to have those 3 things. And then you're going to want to have some level of off-camera flash, right? So for me, I use Profoto A10s, A1, A1X, whatever it is, but this is what I'm using as my either on-camera flash or off-camera flash on any given wedding day. You have to have at least one of these. I would encourage you to have multiples. I have 6. Don't get me started. But I believe in these. I use them all the time. I can set up a ton of cool shots, group shots, family pictures. So much you can do just by having these in your bag, and they're very lightweight, very portable. So that to me is what you should have in your kind of kit. So hopefully that makes sense. But right before you jump, right, ultimately you may not be ready to jump, go full time, I mean, and that's totally okay. So what do you work on? What do you need to do to get there? And that's where you have to start building your portfolio, right? You're going to build your portfolio by being a second shooter for somebody. Right? Without this, you are going to struggle to find clients. You have to be able to have a portfolio that, of an entire wedding day that gives people the confidence in you that you know what you're doing. Okay? Without this, you're absolutely going to struggle. You also need experience on how to run a wedding day. Guys, running a wedding day, not easy. I promise you this. Because what ends up happening is every photographer runs their wedding day a little bit differently. Every couple has different sequence of events. African-American weddings are different than Catholic weddings, are different than Asian weddings, are different than, right? Indian weddings. They're all different. Yeah, they're getting married. That's the common thread there. But the subtleties, the nuances of the day are very different. I think I would fail miserably if I started shooting Asian weddings. I would. I don't know enough about them. And so you need to understand that, and you need to learn that if that's what you're going to focus on in your market. So get that experience working under somebody, learn how to run that day. That builds your experience, and it builds your portfolio as well. Because you don't want to make a mistake on someone's wedding day. That would just be tragic, right? I mean, it's a big day in their life. You want to know, you want to have confidence in yourself that you know what you're doing so you don't miss a shot, right? But you've got to get your website up, contracts in order, your workflow has to be put together, sample products you need. You've got to be able to show this stuff to a client. You're not going to be able to go to a client, meet them at Starbucks, have no sample albums, and no sales room, and charge $10,000 for a wedding. That's going to be really tough, right? I don't want to hear the war stories about, I booked this one client sitting in the back seat of my car while I was teleconferencing. Good for you. As a general rule, that's going to be really, really difficult, right? So set yourself up for success, I should say, by getting all this stuff in order while you're working for someone else as a second shooter. There's nothing wrong with that. Mistakes. We all make mistakes, including myself. Any photographer out there who tries to act like not even a photographer, any business owner out there that tries to feed you a bunch of bullshit, how they've never made mistakes, how they've never screwed anything up, they're just lying, right? We have all pissed off our clients. We've all missed a shot. We've all, done something wrong with a client. That's the nature of being in business. It's just not possible any other way. The real thing is, can you learn from it? Can you grow from it? That's the most important part. And so a lot of times, one of the mistakes I would say for you to avoid as a photographer looking to go full time is underestimating the work that goes into a wedding both before, during, and after the event. There is so much work that goes into a wedding, calls that happen before the wedding, timeline reviews that happen before the wedding, meeting with the client before the wedding. Of course, on the day of, that's self-explanatory. But after the wedding, getting their images ready, sending them thank you cards, scheduling them to come in to see their pictures, final deliverables, making sure those get ordered, prints, albums, designed, prints, albums, right? All this stuff has to happen. So when you're working on a wedding client, and then don't forget their engagement session and the cycle, communication about it, scheduling it, right? It's not you show up for 10 hours, shoot their wedding, and you're done. I wish it was that easy. Then I'd be like, hey, give me 100 weddings a year. But it's not that way, right? So you have to understand that for every wedding, there's all this other stuff that goes on with it. So that's a mistake you need to avoid. And I made that early on in my career, really underestimated the effort that goes into it. Your reputation is everything, guys. I'm telling you, without a solid reputation, you're going to struggle as a business owner. Here in the St. Louis metro area, when they hear Salvatore Sincata, we are a top-tier photographer, high quality, high standards, very reliable, right? I'm the one showing up. These are all things that are being said when I'm not in the room, right? They may say some other things, but that's fine too. But we have a very good reputation in our market, and I think that's very important. Communication with your clients is crucial. So if you're the type of person who just wants to show up on a wedding day because you're working a 9-to-5 job and you don't have time to engage with your needy bride or needy bride and groom, you're going to struggle. So you got to figure that out. Maybe it's hiring somebody part-time. Maybe it's your significant other helping out, but you've got to communicate with your clients. That is crucial and will ripple effect through the wedding day, through your reputation. Nothing's worse than a bride that feels like you're aloof and non-responsive. Again, we're talking about mistakes to avoid, and I would say ignoring social media and its importance. There are a lot of photographers I've run into over the years who are just like, I'm not doing that damn Facebook thing. Okay, that's fine. But guess what? Everybody else is. So you're going to have a problem because that's where your clients are. Sure, if your clients are 70 to 90 years old that you're photographing, I guess you don't have to be on social media. But the reality is, I'm 52, let's say you're older than me, right? And you don't want to embrace social media, your clients, your 20-something-year-old clients are all over social media. They're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on YouTube. You've got to figure it out. You can't just ignore it. If you ignore it, you're just basically ensuring that you're going to go out of business at some point, right? So you've got to embrace the new technology. And don't get me wrong, look, I don't want to be on TikTok making these stupid frickin' videos, man, where you're just like, and then shit showing up. I don't want to do that. Like, that's not me, that's not my brand. So I'm not encouraging you to do this. I'm just letting you know, be true to your brand, whatever your brand is. If that's your brand, have at it. But if you're this luxury brand, it doesn't make sense that I'm acting like a fool on TikTok, right? That, to me, those two things don't make sense. Some of you may disagree with me. That's fine. Disagree. Go do your thing. But you can't ignore social media. Again, mistakes to avoid: believing you can do it all alone. Cannot be done. It's very difficult to be a wedding photographer and think you're going to do everything alone. Editing, contracts, follow-up calls, ordering pictures, inventorying pictures, wrapping pictures, delivering pictures. You're not going to be able to do it alone. Can't be done. I'm telling you, you need help. So start early, get interns, get some other part-time people where you can help each other out. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I'm just telling you what to avoid. Don't offer digital only. That is not a solution. You are leaving a ton of money on the table. We can do a whole hour-long video just on that alone. And then finally, not offering high-quality products like wedding albums, canvas, high-quality canvas. Don't just go to Sam's Club and buy a $19 canvas that's basically see-through because it's so shitty in quality. If you want to be a high quality, charge more money, you've got to offer those types of products, right? So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you guys are still with me, and if you got questions, throw them in the chat. So what are some alternatives for you? You love weddings, but you got a full-time job. You love weddings, but you're not ready to run your own business. You love weddings, and you have extra capacity on your calendar that you're trying to fill, right? So these are all the different scenarios that we're kind of leading up to in this moment, which is, all right, Sal, I believe you. I love weddings. I want to build my portfolio. I'm not quite there yet. Or I am doing photography, but I only have 9 weddings a year. So I've got, 40 some odd weekends that are open on my schedule. How do I fill them? Well, typically you'd fill them through marketing, but you don't have enough capacity to now be the marketer or go to bridal shows or all these other things, right? So what are some alternatives for you? So what if I told you that there was a portal that would allow you to find new jobs and put your name out there, set up your schedule and availability, right? Maybe you only have 5 open weekends next year and you want to book 5 weddings on those weekends. Today, you're getting inquiries and they come in and they're just asking, are you available June 5th? Are you available June 12th? Are you available? Are you available? Are you available? Well, that sucks to take all those inquiries and you're not even available. What if I told you there's a portal that allows you to kind of farm out your time based on your availability? Set up your rates, what you're willing to work for on any given day. It's perfect for both studios who need to hire second shooters or solo photographers who have capacity that they're trying to fill. Shootwith.me is the answer. And no surprise here, they sponsored this video. And we talked to them over there and about their product and service. And I hate to say it, I was blown away. There's a lot of things we like to say that are game changers and things like that. But I'm just thinking back. Remember, I've been doing this for 15 years. And when I think about what I had to do to find a second shooter, right, I'd go to like Craigslist. That was always fun. Is Craigslist still a thing?
It is, but you don't do Craigslist.
That's where like,
You're looking for some late night.
that's like late night romance?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Late night rendezvous.
Late night rendezvous. What was the thing they had on Craigslist where it was like
Misconnections.
missed connections?
The best
Did that ever work with anybody?
I don't know.
Do you two even know, or are you too young to know what missed?
I remember they used to read it out on like a radio
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
I would listen to while they would read out.
To the woman who was in the red Ford Mustang.
It's so romantic. It's such like a meet cute movie
Yeah.
idea.
All right, let's get back to Shoot With Me, shall we? All right, so I think back to those days on what it was like to find a second shooter. You had you lucky if you could find their portfolio. You had no reviews of that person. You had to start negotiating their rates. You didn't know if they were available. You had to run casting calls online. It was a nightmare. So Shoot With Me is a portal that allows both studios or just photographers who are looking for second shooters to find them there. And if you're a photographer looking for a job, no matter what your experience level is, it allows you to put your portfolio up here and get your name out and connect with those studios in your market. So now you can fill that capacity. And it is so beautifully designed and thought through because it's being done by people who are actually photographers. And I love businesses like that. I love people like that because they get our industry, they get our needs, they listen to us. And so this is, I think you guys are going to be blown away, right? And so I'm just going to cut to the chase. It's free, right? So if you're a studio, it's free to be on there. And I'm going to give you a code, guys. If you're a photographer, it's free till you book your first job. So there's literally nothing to lose, but stay with me, okay? So look at kind of your dashboard and let's talk through some of the functionality that's here. So once you create your account, you can go in, you're going to have your messages that are there, you're going to have your calendar, and you can set your calendar of availability, right? So you're setting, I'll jump to this slide. Look at it on the right-hand side of the screen. I love this. This is so cool to me, right? It's not fake cool. It is super cool. Prevent bookings within 2 days. Brilliant. Yeah, so somebody can't come to you
Book a wedding 2 days notice.
and book a wedding and 2 days before that Saturday. Like, dude, you know, if you're like me, like if it's Thursday and my weekend's open, I'm planning something, right? Last thing I want to do is it's Thursday night and I get a request to now shoot a wedding on a Saturday and I get booked for that. I don't even want that to happen. This here in the sample, it says 2 days, but maybe you put that 7 days out. You can set that up. But this is even more brilliant. If you book inside 4 days, my rates are up by 20%, 30%. I'm going to charge you more. Your dumbass waited till the last minute, limited availability.
Hey, it's not always a dumbass move. Like,
Sometimes it's a
people
dumbass.
bail and it's a panic situation.
Well, I'm going to get paid more money for that panic situation, as I should. Hey, you call a plumber or an electrician or HVAC, emergency services. It's going to cost you some money, bitches. Okay, so I'm trying to be family friendly. I'm sorry.
You're not doing very well at all.
Yeah, there's been a couple of bleeps we're going to need to add here. Yeah, Shoot With Me is like, why did we hire this maniac? Nathan's like, why is he representing our companies? Sorry, Nathan. Okay, so default availability, you can actually say what zip code, your mile radius around that zip code. So this is what I'm saying to you guys. This platform was built with thought and intent, and that's what's going to make this successful. So we go back here, you're seeing the dashboard. But now if you're a studio and you're looking for photographers, you now are going to be able to look at the photographers, see their portfolio, see their availability, their reviews, also very important, that are being given by other studios or photographers, not by the client themselves, right? So now Nathan, it's his company. He's got he's got 5-star reviews.
I would hope so.
Did he give them to himself? I don't know.
I think he photoshopped it.
Think he photoshopped himself having 5 stars?
Yeah.
He probably did. It's his company. He can do whatever he wants. But this is so well thought out. Now you see like the reviews from other studios or photographers that have hired that. So now if you're a studio and you're looking for a shooter, or you're not even a studio, you're just a photographer looking for a second photographer, you can at least look at their portfolio, look at their rates, look at their availability, and look at reviews they've gotten from other photographers, right? This is very, very important. And again, well thought through. So you can share your profile in other groups. So now from another group perspective, right? You know what I'm talking about, like local photography groups. You can share your profile in there, so it's got social interaction. And this is just some of what other people who are using Shoot With Me have had to say. So, you know, if you want to screenshot this to read it, I'm not going to read these all to you. But the platform is incredibly easy to use, incredibly powerful. And whether you are a studio or full-time photographer or just getting started out and looking to build your portfolio, this is an incredible platform. There has not been anything like it in the market. And I'm just shocked when I talked to Nathan. I was truly shocked at how it could be that this gap had not been filled in the marketplace. Something else that's interesting here, in the about, it actually, you're going to highlight what gear you have, right? This is very important, right? So like someone like Nathan, he's shooting Nikon. I would never hire him because he's using Nikon. It's not going to happen. Nathan, 4 stars. Sorry. So
I'm surprised it didn't drop down to 1.
he should. I didn't want to be too aggressive with 1 star, but I'm going to let him slide since he's not using Canon. Anyway, on a serious note, this is important because now you know, hey, I'm hiring somebody, but they don't have any fast glass. This becomes a problem. But there's ways around that. Maybe I know now I got to lend them some extra gear, right? So all this stuff, if you're looking for a second shooter, this is a great place to look for it. So now you kind of know like, oh, well, I want them on the same platform. So if you're a Sony shooter, maybe you're looking for people who are on a Sony platform, stuff like that. That to me is very important because I want to be able to, like with my second shooter, share glass, so to speak, right? Just stuff like that becomes very important. Or when I get into post-production, the last thing I want to do is edit Sony images side by side with Nikon. It'll be very difficult for skin tones and things like that to look the same. So that's something that would be important to me if I'm hiring a second shooter. So hopefully this has been very valuable to you guys. There's a special, right? Sign up at shootwith.me/webinar. And you can either hire help for $0. You can find and hire assistants or second shooters for your jobs. Or if you're looking to get hired, you can create your profile. It is free to create your profile. And then once you get your first booking, you can request, and they're going to give you an extra month free for them. And you can look up all their services. Their plans are like $16 a month to like $29 a month. I'm going off the top of my head, but you'll get a month free as well. It is a no-brainer. Go create an account. You got nothing to lose. Give it a try. I think you're going to like it. I know we have some questions. Hit me.
Is Shoot With Me good for a last-minute second shooter?
Is Shoot With Me good for a last-minute second shooter? The answer is yes, right? Unless you get this guy who's not going to be available 2 days out, right? So yes, it is this guy. But yes, it is absolutely good. So give it a try. If you got a wedding coming up this weekend, next weekend, you're still looking for a second shooter, go create your profile, try and find it. Like that's the best way to put this to work is since Nathan and team are allowing you to do this for free and set up your profile for free, go do it and see if it works for you. I think it will work for you because again, there's nothing else like this. And who wants to be on Craigslist looking for second shooters or worse yet, local photography groups? That's always, I'm in a couple of them and I see the posts that go on and it's interesting to say the least, but I think you got better options there. So no other questions?
No.
All right, so before we wrap this, guys, I'm gonna leave this slide up for you. Oh, we do have one more question.
If you were like going on to another topic, because Ronnie has a question that's not really related to Shoot With Me. It's a very specific.
All right, hit me with Ronnie's question. What do you got, Ronnie?
Okay, so he has a client that has a nighttime wedding on a beach,
Ronnie has a client with a nighttime wedding on a beach.
and they want to know, and he doesn't know if he can book them because he doesn't know how to light it.
That's fair.
Nighttime wedding.
So Ronnie is a client that has a nighttime wedding on the beach. He doesn't know if he should book it because he doesn't know how, he's afraid he doesn't know how to light it. So here's my advice to you and anyone else in a situation like this. I don't know when this wedding is, Ronnie, but me, I would take that wedding, but here's what I would do. My ass would be outside for the next 3 days learning how to shoot with my flash in dark situations. Go to YouTube, watch a bunch of those videos, but I would make sure, as long as that wedding's not this Saturday, Ronnie, and you have time, just go, hey, I know this. Ronnie, it's better than you found out on the day of the wedding. Surprise, we're out on the beach, grab your flash, right? So at least you have time to prepare. So I would take it, but I would push myself to learn how to shoot in that situation so that I'm confident with it. All right, I got to put a wrap on this. Guys, hopefully you feel a little more confident about becoming a full-time wedding photographer, the opportunity that's there. And Shoot With Me, I felt like was perfect for this topic because you can actually go and start building your portfolio by working under someone else as a second shooter. And if you're looking for second shooters as a studio or just a solo photographer who needs extra help, this is the perfect platform. So save big, Shoot With Me, shootwith.me/webinar. And go out there, sign up for free. I think you're going to be impressed. Good luck. And if you have any questions, hit us up. See you next time.